Hi, I'm Sonia Shante.
And I'm Jonathan Ward.
And I'm Kimberly Lane, and together we're Unlocking Leadership. We are three experienced executive coaches with very different disciplines. In every episode, we take a question from a real client and provide key insights to address their challenge from our three different perspectives. It's a holistic approach to understanding challenges and opportunities. Let's get to it. Our question today is from Kathlyn in St. Paul, Minnesota. She says, my partner has been promoted twice in the past 4 years. He attributes this to his ability to set laser sharp priorities that help him fulfill his goals. Do I need to apply that type of focus to be promoted at work? Jonathan, do you think there's a link between getting promoted and having laser sharp priorities?
That's a really fascinating question, Kathlyn, and thanks for asking that. And I'm going to give you what's perhaps not the textbook answer on that, but I will say, number one, I am a big believer in SMART goals, the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. And what I would suggest to you in your quest to get promoted and to move up in an organization is that your personal priorities can be very, very important. And again, I am all for setting very important, meaningful goals, but I also advise being flexible and open to what's going on around you. And if you're really interested in being promoted, sometimes the best way to get noticed and recognized is to help other people with their priorities. I think it can be especially important if you're new to an organization or if you're new to a role. So taking a broader view of what you have to offer to the system or to the organization as a whole is really going to be something that's going to help you get noticed. You might consider asking your boss or another influential person, what are the three things that are most critical to them that they need to address right away? If you can help those people put out those fires, excuse me, then you've made yourself a valuable team player. So think about the offers that you could make in advance that will help move the organization forward, to help advance the mission of that organization. And then your senior leaders will look on you differently as someone who's not only focused on making your own targets, but looking at making the organization better as a whole.
It's great input, Jonathan. Because I thought the same. There was a couple of questions I had for her when I saw the question. And the first one was, the thing that gets us in trouble is our expectations. And so when she was interviewing for the job, or when she was talking to her boss or HR, did she have an understanding of what is the development plan, the growth plan for talent within the organization? Because if she has expectations that if she does X, she's going to get Y, and it's going to happen in a certain period of time, it may be different for that organization. It also may be different for the times we live in. However, I do think that talking about being able to set laser sharp priorities is a skill set that's important in being able to develop. Because if you think about it, there's goals that are set, and let's call the goals the 50,000 foot level. Priorities get set at the ground level, because that's how you decide where resources are going to be allocated. And part of that allocation of resources is your time. So the thing that I want her to get clear on is, so what is the traditional growth track, career track in the organization she's in, so she can appropriately understand what is possible. Then secondly, in understanding about how to set those laser sharp priorities, I totally agree with you, Jonathan, understanding how other people's goals are going to be met. And if she happened to have an extra little bit of time, there was a book that I happened to read early in my coaching career that was written by three executive recruiters. They normally just place people at the very, very top of an organization. And the thing that stuck with me was they said, when you're looking at resumes of people that went to Columbia and Harvard and had, stellar careers, what's the difference? What causes them to be able to be people that you would think of, leaders that you would think of, to move them up in the organization? And what they basically said was they were so good at managing their priorities and their work product that they actually had anywhere between 5 to 10% of extra time available, that then they looked for what had not gotten addressed in their particular function or with other leaders, as you recommended. And because they were able to chip in and work that extra, whatever goal, pick up something that had never been addressed, solve something that had never been solved, but that was always on the list. That separated them, and that made them like people wanted to notice who they were. So that's my take on that. Kimberly, what do you think?
Yeah, all great suggestions. There's so much that we can talk about here as far as what we can do to help make ourselves visible and to demonstrate the skills that we need to get promoted. So thank you, Kathlyn, for the question. Kind of expanding on what both Jonathan and Sonia have said, yes, I do believe in a short answer. There is a link, okay, in the essence that, yes, you have to be able to identify what goals need to be accomplished in order to, so to speak, move the business, move the needle, move your responsibilities forward. But an important part of that is, because we very often can't do everything, is to really be able to be laser focused on what is most important and what's going to be have the biggest impact, if you will. And then subsequently, you can start taking responsibility for the other things that Sonia said, because you have extra time or more time because you're very laser focused and effective at getting it done to get those other pieces done. So that becomes well recognized in an organization and culture if you are achieving the goals under your direct responsibility. Now, having laser focused priorities is not the only thing. I would suggest 2 other items. Number 2, it's very important for you to be an advocate for yourself. Very often we are not, or it might be the first time that your boss has heard the fact that you even want a promotion, right? So be very vocal about what you're looking for and where you see yourself in the next year, 2, 3, 4, or 5, so that people around you, and especially whoever is above you, is well aware of where you want to go and what your intention is. And then the third piece I would highly recommend is, really be networking with other peers, other leaders besides your direct leader, as far as your capabilities and your desire to move up the ladder or to get promoted. You need recommendations from other people, testimonials from other people. So it's very natural for them to hear when Kathlyn's getting a promotion or wants to apply for a new position. You've got an advocate or a team of people that would be, yeah, we know her. She's been wanting this for 3 years. Oh my gosh, she's got this great skill. I think she'd be perfect in that job because X, Y, Z. So yes, laser priorities 2, really being an advocate for yourself and making it clear to others where you want to go. And then 3, really having a good network of supporters and a team that's going to rally for you and also speak on your behalf. So anything else anybody else wants to add?
I wanted to throw in something here that I guess we always get asked this question in a lot of the leadership development coaching that I get involved in. It's not only what you do, it's how you do it. And so I think it's really important. If you achieve all of your goals and you leave a lot of dead bodies in your wake, you're not going to get promoted. And so you really have to understand what's the culture of the organization and what does, have a really good development conversation with your boss about what type of skills and competencies do I have to have that are going to help me get promoted and fit in with the leadership culture here, because it's then closing the gaps in those competencies that's going to help you be more effective. Achieving the goals is one thing, but again, it's how you get there that's going to be extremely important.
You reminded me of something with that, Jonathan. I have a nephew that is now applying to graduate school. He has been in the military and he's going to go into graduate school, and he had to fill out essays about what he was going to contribute and how he was going to do it. It happens that I have a sister that's also in the educational system, so she said I like to review it. And when she looked at his answers, she realized that everything he was saying was we did this, and she said, well, they're trying to figure out like what you did. What was different about what you did? And he said, it was because he said, well, that's how we were trained. It's not just one person doing it. We're all doing it together. But yes, there was different things that I brought to the table. And so I thought, we are conditioned by the cultures and by the areas and the people around us. And so the ability to be in a we mode but showing up, being able to deliver something, as Jonathan says, that's the how. Will get you many, many places. So, but it just struck me when you said that. I thought, yeah, he was like, he knows what he's done, but he's never thought of it in a context. It's not about how did it impact everybody else and how did we all get there when we needed to get there.
Yeah, there's a fine line between boastful about yourself, but then also showing and demonstrating your ability to be a team player, and you're not just stepping on everybody else to get to the top. Because nowadays, especially, you can't just lead from an individual perspective. You do need a team. So.
Mhm.
I guess I wanted to jump in real fast with having worked with astronaut Eileen Collins over the last year and talking about, I mean, she was somebody who set a goal in 1978 of wanting to become a woman astronaut. And it took her 12 years of being laser focused on exactly all of the boxes she had to cross and check off, all of the experiences she had to gather and things like that. But ultimately, you can have all of those things behind you, but you've got to make yourself the low risk candidate. You've got to make yourself somebody that management is going to feel comfortable going to and not feeling like they're really going out on a limb to trust you to take on important work.
Now, does she have people to give her some perspective on what a low risk candidate would be so that it would move her in the right position, or did she just naturally have an understanding of that?
Well, I think, again, it was kind of like playing by the rules, making sure that you were not the one who messed up, by taking unnecessary risks. Pilots get evaluated pretty brutally by their instructors and by their colleagues if they're out there taking risks that are unnecessary.
Wow, that's good to know.
I learned about it.
Well,
Right.
Kimberly, do you have anything else that you'd like to
I'm
add?
good. I think we gave Caitlin a lot of great points and
I
ideas.
think so. Thank you, Caitlin, from St. Paul for your question today. We hope you, our viewers and listeners, gain new insights on the link between goals, focus, and promotions. To our listeners, if you like the content we shared today, please like this episode and also share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Unlocking Leadership askthecoaches.com. We look forward to reading your reviews. You can also find Unlocking Leadership askthecoaches.com on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. If you have a leadership question or would like to reach out to one of our coaches, please email us at info@unlockingleadership-askthecoaches.com. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for joining us today. Tune in next time to find the keys to unlocking your best leadership.